Coach Sam was just talking about how you've been to many fall camps, and you were saying last night this is something you haven't really seen before. I guess how would you describe the uniqueness of camp to you from all the football you've seen?
Yeah, it's funny. We were in a discussion. I think what I was referring to exactly was we take chances at the night to sit down and talk about our team and the culture and the fabric of kind of who we are and how we get to certain places, and kind of let each other know who we are beyond the face mask, and talk a little more personal in that regard. And I think I'm still sometimes taken back by how many people haven't created that opportunity before they do this, and that's get off into the wilderness, go camping with your team, and kind of turn yourself off and disconnect and have a chance to really bond with each other. And it's times like this that I told those guys there's a reason why we were pretty successful in last year's campaign. In my opinion, is because of the time we spent together. I think that's a huge piece of it. And it was funny, I had about a group of 8 guys at the bonfire yesterday, and I was the only guy who had done this prior to last year, who had taken a group off and done it. I think that again continues to remind me that we can't take it for granted that people have had that opportunity to get to know each other and do some things that a lot of time the fast-paced world we live in doesn't provide. So this is a special place, and I think that we're taking every opportunity to soak it in.
I know last year's in the rearview mirror, but if you just think back from a year ago this time, there wasn't even an announcement of who the quarterback was going to be. Do you allow yourself just a few seconds to think about how much has changed around you from this time last year to where you are?
Yeah, absolutely. I probably wouldn't have done that 10 or 15 years ago, but I think the older I get here at 25 years old, I tend to think about it a little bit more. Last year at this time, we didn't have a quarterback. I was new. The new offense was new. We were in the 7th day of even knowing what to call stuff. I think to look back on that now, and I talked about this last night at the bonfire as well, was there's a whole bunch of offense going on and a whole bunch of things we were teaching, but I think the catalyst to be having success we had in a lot of ways was the ability to connect with each other and get up here, to spend time with each other playing games and being sore and not sleeping well and being dirty and taking hikes and bleeding from falling down on rocks and sharing each other's stories. And so again, I think that there's a huge piece of the fabric and the DNA of a culture and team and family business that goes back to the fundamentals of getting to know each other and building trust.
Why is that so unique to football, to this sport, just that aspect of it? Because you don't hear it so much with baseball, maybe a little bit, but not like football.
I don't know. I can't speak for the sports. I think that this one's unique because it takes the most people. It takes the most people. There's a stigma about football that you don't get personal, probably too. It's a physical man. It's macho in a lot of ways. I think that stigma is something that our culture and our coaching staff and the people who run Kenny from start to top has hired people that believe in that ability to connect and the human side of it, earning people's trust, because at the end of the day, there's gonna be some tough times, and I think this is the glue that keeps teams together. This is stuff you can fall back to this. If you don't have this, fractures become really wide.
You look at the progression of Kanye. It's obviously noticeable what player he was in the spring versus what he is right now. Is that something you expected, just as far as a natural progression of a transfer?
Yeah, for sure. A natural progression of a transfer in a new offense, a completely new offense, going from triple option to a pro style option with tempo, is a big change, and we knew that. Again, we had to go through the critical skills and physical talents and the personality and the mentality he played with, and then we got to teach a skill piece, and each day he's getting a little bit better at this type of football, which is awesome to see. Tough kid who's got a lot of good football ahead of him, and is going to be a good piece of what we don't know.
What about the run game just in general? There's been some explosive plays in recent days. Seems like blocking has been good recently.
Yeah. I think we've picked up what we put down a little bit from last year. Our identity of running the football is probably at the forefront of everything we do. Is one of the first things I talked about when I got here, was running the football and taking care of the line of scrimmage. A tough and physical football team and an identity wins a lot of games, and that hasn't changed regardless of who we have in the backfield or who we got at quarterback or what we're doing. That's what we believe in philosophically. So those guys know with that identity that regardless of who's in the backfield, that's what we're going to do. And I think a second year in the program now and being able to communicate and knowing what we're looking for and know how to ID things will pay benefits.
What's allowed Harry Hassman to give himself a chance to be in the rotation there?
I mean, Harry's done an awesome job. He's tough. He's been working really hard on his craft. He's understanding the offense early on. He got tools. It's just a lot of times those tools sometimes for a young guy don't kick in fast because they're thinking. His tools are kicking in because he's actually mastered the offense and gets what's going on, how to line up, where to go, and so you're seeing that take shape. And then he's ultra competitive. For a true freshman, he's excited. He's exactly what I saw in camp back in Texas when we were watching him in practice and said, hey, we got to keep an eye on this dude now.
The receivers not named Jaren Tyson, I mean, Jaren, Jalen, and Malik. Who you seen here through a week plus?
Yeah, all those guys, that whole core, when Jordan has to come out or is out of the rotation or we got to give him a break, whatever it may be, they know that's where the gap needs to be shrunk, right? Because they've got to step their game up. We've got to rely on other people. They know they want the ball. Well, that's your opportunity to get the ball and really be in position to do that. And I think that there's going to be times where Jordan, everyone's going to know where he's at. And so you got to have your opportunities. And so guys like Malik are probably a guy who's been in the system 2 years. I talked about it preseason, a guy who's really come along, matured, body's in the right place, really had an amazing vigor about him as he's moved into summer and spring and now into fall training camp. But that group is going to get better every day. Jaren's a transfer who's learning the offense. Moss, another transfer, who's played a lot of games in a similar system with Coach Tedford and what he did. And so all those guys are starting to really shrink that gap, and I think that's when you start to get really good at the core.
Alongside this shrinking the gap, in terms of like the big playability, you know, when you move away obviously from scat, and then you know if Jordan's being doubled or bracketed or whatever it may be, I mean, is that gap shrunk in the big playability for the other guys where maybe what we didn't see last year? I mean, I know X did it kind of here and there, but
no, those guys, the explosive piece of our philosophy and having explosive plays is at the forefront. We track every explosive play. There's a certain percentage that we want to hit at every practice. I track every one of them. For each one, we're over 300 reps now, which is going to be close to 7 games worth of 4 games worth. If 75 plays is give or take an average. And so I think those explosive abilities for play calls are still there with those guys. We got to find them in whichever ways, whether it's a matchup, whether it's a certain guy in certain positions. If you got to take Jordan out of the mix, if Scat's gone, someone's got to make up for it. And right now, that percentage is where we want through 7 practices. So that's good to see. It'd be something that we'd have to really keep an eye on, and we do, to find out and make sure those pieces are the pieces that can really win games.